wanted fugitive of the 26/11 terror attacks. While the Trump tariff torpedo hit the global markets, a serious note of dissent happened right under his nose. His first buddy Elon Musk went public with his disagreements and even picked up a spat with Trump's tariff czar Peter Navarro. We look at the tariff war through the prism of that spat. Also, two important domestic stories. One, Communist Party of India Marxists, the CPM, and the Congress had their annual sessions this past week. The left in India punches way above its electoral weight. I used the opportunity to dissect the anatomy of why it does so. The Congress session in Gujarat happened for the first time after 61 years. Why it took the grand old party so long to visit Gujarat, the home state of Mahatma Gandhi, Sardar Patel, and Narendra Modi. That's our focus. Two, Jammu and Kashmir has seen a dozen former separatist groups publicly dissociate themselves from their anti-India past over the last 1 month. Let's scan the development. Here we go. On Friday, one more separatist group came down from the high horse of anti-India rhetoric and denounced separatism in all forms. Jammu and Kashmir mass movement was part of the larger grouping of separatists in the Kashmir Valley, the All Parties Hurriyat Conference, APHC. JKMM became the 12th such group to do so. On Wednesday, two groups had similarly denounced their association with separatism and APHC while the Union Home Minister Amit Shah was in Srinagar for a security review meeting. 2 days before that, three other groups, the Jammu and Kashmir Islamic Political Party, Jammu and Kashmir Muslim Democratic League, and the Kashmir Freedom Front had done the same, releasing statements disconnecting from the APHC and reposing faith in the unity and integrity of Bharat. Last month, on March 27, the Tehreek-e-Istiqlal and Tehreek-e-Istiqamat also cut their umbilical links with the APHC. 2 days before that, on March 25, the Jammu and Kashmir People's Movement and the Jammu and Kashmir Democratic Political Movement had declared their exit from separatism. A fortnight before, on March 11, the MHA had banned Awami Action Committee led by Mirwaiz Umar Farooq and the Jammu and Kashmir Ittihadul Muslimin led by Shia cleric Masroor Abbas Ansari. While speaking on Jammu and Kashmir in the just concluded budget session of Parliament, Shah had said that since the abrogation of Article 370 in 2019, a total of 14 Hurriyat groups have been banned.
हुर्रियत के सबसे सीरियस टाइप के 14 ऑर्गेनाइजेशन आज 14 के 14 बैन कर दी गए मान्यवर हुर्रियत का अस्तित्व। इस हुर्रियत के साथ एक जमाने में बातचीत करते थे, पाकिस्तान के बातचीत करने के लिए मीडिएटर बनाया था, आतंकवादी संगठनों से बातचीत करने के लिए वो हुर्रियत को हमने समाप्त कर दिया जमीन के अंदर गाड़ने।
If you read the developments taken together, there's a clear message. There are no favorites and Delhi does not take prisoners anymore. Make no mistake, this is a big development. Let me put it up front that this is in good measure due to the tough love policy of the Modi government. Let us admit that there would be an element of bulldozing, to put it mildly. This is part of a major offensive, a crackdown on all elements who thought they could diss India and live a normal life, enjoying the fruits and comforts of a fast developing nation. These are groups that held Kashmir's normalcy to ransom. They held the Indian state by the scruff of its neck till recently. The soft indulgence of New Delhi meant that Sayyid Ali Shah Gilani, the late chieftain of the APHC, could announce a Hartal calendar in advance and watch the fun from his window. This is an organization that thought of itself as a mediator between India and Pakistan for talks on Kashmir, till the Congress-ruled UPA was in power in New Delhi. Hurriyat had observer status in the Organization of Islamic Conference, the influential OIC that governs the position of affiliated 57 Muslim nations of the world. New Delhi-based diplomats would meet Hurriyat leaders in Srinagar, and Gilani gang would get annual invites to the Pakistan Day event at the embassy in Delhi. The coming of the Modi government changed all that. Post-abrogation of Article 370 in 2019, India is on the offensive. Global geopolitics has also turned benign. Kashmir does not matter to the United States or the European Union anymore. Pakistan is too feeble to make itself heard. Whatever diplomatic capital it musters is exhausted in negotiating IMF bailouts and loan restructuring with the Saudis and China. Hurriyat is no more relevant. Gilani is long dead. The second and third rung of leadership is in disarray. Anti-terror crackdown has plugged all sources of funding. The Kashmiri youth sees hope in peace and progress. Increasingly, with Pakistan's slide into a failed nation, the young in the valley see both hope and opportunity in India. The Modi government has worked on twin approaches of tough love and development. This month would see Baramulla getting connected with the rest of India via a train. Last week, I brought to you a deep dive on how Naxalism was on its deathbed in India. All the fronts that sought to represent separatism in Kashmir are breathing their last now. Make no mistake. This does not mean the hearts have been won. There might still be sentiment against India, which has gone latent. But the Modi government has successfully wound up the ecosystem and the structures that provided oxygen for that sentiment to sustain and survive. It's over. And no one should fancy any revival of that oxygen for sure. Moving on. Two opposition parties had their annual brainstorming sessions this past week. The Communist Party of India Marxist, or the CPM, had its Congress in Madurai of Tamil Nadu, while the Congress had its AICC meet in Gujarat's Ahmedabad. I look at the opposition space through these two meetings and decode for you what it means for India's polity in the present. The communists first. The optics were catchy, wearing kafayas, identified with the Palestinian struggle against Israel, and even Hamas. The comrades sang, "From river to the sea, Palestine would be free." The slogan was the war cry of defenders of the Palestinian cause on American campuses all of last year, since Israel launched its purge of Hamas following the October 7, 2023 terror attack that killed over 1,000 Israelis. It means the obliteration of the state of Israel and hence is against the foreign policy of India. But then I come to that in a bit. The CPM did some soul searching on why it was not clicking with the masses in India and came to some conclusions. It finds problem with the Hindu politics of the day, sees neo-fascism in the BJP-RSS combined, and thought it could be reinventing itself with more protests, more dharnas, more strikes, and more struggles. The political resolution concluded that the left had failed due to an alliance between Hindu forces, the corporates, and the media. The comrades absolved themselves of all responsibility. Let me hold the mirror for them. The comrades had the session in Madurai, the culture capital of Tamil Nadu, known for its Meenakshi temple, which acts as the geographic and ritualistic center of the city. The city effectively rotates or revolves around this temple. The west tower of the temple, the Gopuram, forms the state emblem of the government of Tamil Nadu. The temple is not just a religious symbol. It is a living presence of the rich legacy of Tamil history and culture. Yet the comrades skipped it. Not a single picture I could locate of any of the communist leaders present for 3 days in Madurai visiting the temple. Now imagine, these rootless wonders want to represent the people of India. The newly elected General Secretary of the party, M.A. Baby, Mariam Alexander Baby, identifies himself as an atheist. He began as a God-fearing Catholic and was in fact the altar boy of his parish church of St. Elizabeth in Prakkulam, Kerala during his childhood. Now he genuflects at the altar of Lenin and Marx, the communist gods who form the backdrop of the stage. Again, not Thiruvalluvar, not Tamil Sangam literature. I couldn't spot APJ Abdul Kalam, another Tamil icon, as much as a national icon. Basically, no attempt at connecting with the masses. Prime Minister Modi was there in Tamil Nadu the same days. He appeared in a vesti. He spoke in Tamil, howsoever briefly. To become the voice of the people and to reflect their struggles, the Communist Party of India Marxist has decided to launch a nationwide general strike on May 20, following it up with power sector-specific protests on June 26. Remember, the peak of summers, power sector targeted. The objective, obviously, is to cripple normal life, though in practice, the comrades fail literally every time in the present era of politics. You might find it funny. The CPM also passed a resolution on protecting Cuba from the caprices of Americans. To match the sentiment, some comrades had Che Guevara on their mundus or lungis or vesties or sarongs, whatever you call that wraparound. The CPM came out of the parent CPI, the Communist Party of India, in 1964 following a rupture in the pro-Russia and the pro-China factions of the comrades. It was more like a CPSU, Communist Party of the Soviet Union, versus the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party divide, or Mao versus the Stalin divide. Look at the year 1964. What major event happened before that? The 1962 India-China war. There were hard-left elements within the CPI who wanted to be soft on China. B.T. Ranade, for example, led that faction. With Soviet Russia firmly on India's side, Ranade was demoted by the Moscow faction of the CPI. This was not taken kindly to by the Beijing group. During the 1964 annual Congress of the party, like the one that has happened in Madurai this year, a group of delegates walked out and a couple of months later held their own convention in Tenali town of Andhra Pradesh. To mark their separateness from the CPI, they put up posters of Mao at the event. Once let loose, radicalism knows not when to stop. So it is that 1964 split led to the 1967 Naxalbari movement, with the leading lights of CPM Charu Majumdar and Kanu Sanyal tilting the scales in favor of violent extremism. Both apparently had a personal meeting with Chairman Mao before being trained in guerrilla warfare in the forested mountains of Tibet. Does that explain why the CPM remains little ambiguous, if nothing else, on CCP? Why, while it talks of Gaza and its leaders wear kafiyas, it remains silent on the Uyghur Muslims in Xinjiang and looks the other way as China police Taiwan? I leave it there. Moving to India's principal opposition party, the Indian National Congress led by the Gandhi-Nehru family. It held its first AICC session in Gujarat after a gap of 61 years. Gujarat, the home state of Mahatma Gandhi, of Sardar Patel, and of Narendra Modi. The CWC was held at the Sardar Patel Memorial and the AICC along the Sabarmati riverfront in Ahmedabad between the Sabarmati and the Kochrab ashrams, both set up by the Mahatma. This was projected as an attempt to reclaim both Gandhi and Patel. The sessions marked 100 years of Mahatma Gandhi's only presidency of the Congress in 1925 and 150th birth year of Sardar Patel, born as he was in 1875. The legacies of the two stalwarts have been increasingly claimed by the Modi-led BJP. The Modi government has Gandhi symbols adorning emblems of half a dozen of its schemes, from Swachh Bharat Mission to the Make in India and others. Prime Minister has got the Mahatma's statues installed in at least a dozen capitals around the world. He never fails to attend the October 2 and January 30 events of the national capital's official calendar. So far as Sardar Patel is concerned, Congress's hold over his legacy is even more tenuous. The Nehru overhang never made Patel's stature get its due in the Nehru-Gandhi Congress post the Indira takeover. And in the present, the Gandhis are yet to visit the iconic Statue of Unity, world's tallest statue built by Modi as a tribute to India's Bismarck. For the BJP, Patel provides a palimpsest on which to build its anti-Nehru, or more specifically, anti-Nehru dynasty counter-narrative. The discomfiture of the Congress gets reflected in its feeble attempts at countering this. Mallikarjun Kharge accused the BJP of stealing the legacy. But in the grip of the Nehru dynasty, it is difficult for any Congress leader to admit that it reduced the stature of leaders like Patel and even Ambedkar by design. The Ahmedabad resolution speaks of how Patel wrote to Nehru that they were one and that they loved each other. Of how Patel banned the RSS in the aftermath of the Gandhi assassination. But the party has no answers to why, for example, a Bharat Ratna could be awarded to Nehru in his lifetime, but Patel had to wait for a non-Congress government in 1991 for the stalwart to get the honor, 41 years after his death. The debate is alive. Moving on.
Individuals who have very different views on trade and on tariffs. Boys will be boys, and we will let their public sparring continue.
That was White House spokesperson Caroline Leavitt making a bold attempt at dismissing a public sparring between two Trump close aides, Elon Musk and Peter Navarro, the American president's tariff czar. While the slanging match provided a grist to the rumor mills on the divide within the Trump White House over the issue of tariffs, the spat is much more than that. Musk is a free trade ayatollah and has been taking public position against Trump's tariff wars for some time. Like on Monday, he posted a clip of another free market czar, Milton Friedman, who is heard speaking against tariffs as a trade policy tool. On March 27, Musk had posted how the tariffs were having a negative effect on his businesses. Navarro, on the other hand, is a Harvard economist who has guided Trump's trade policy both in the first term and now in his second. He is a tariff hawk and believes in protectionism as a legitimate policy weapon. Effectively, he is the name and the face behind Trump's tariff brinkmanship that has rocked the markets the past week. While explaining the reciprocal tariffs, Navarro was asked for his views on Musk's free trade evangelism, in response to which he sought to downplay the tech bro's stature. Among other things, Navarro called Musk an assembler of cars and not a manufacturer, sourcing cheap parts from around the world and assembling them in the United States. Musk responded in a Muskian way, calling Navarro dumber than a sack of bricks, a moron, and a retard. Musk even questioned Navarro's Harvard degree. In a way, Musk's frustration is a reflection of what many CEOs feel about Trump's kabhi haan, kabhi na trade policy, just that they do not have the political capital that President's first buddy Musk has to go public with their disagreements. Bill Ackman, for example, a mega supporter of Trump, has also spoken on the negative impact of Trump's tariffs. He in fact called for the pause before Trump pressed the button, and publicly stated that the tariffs can lead to major economic disruption, which is already happening. Apple shipped 600 tons of iPhones from India weeks ahead of the Liberation Day. Amazon canceled multi-billion-dollar orders with Chinese suppliers. Obviously, these operations come at a cost and add to the price that the consumer pays, the American consumer in this case. A good number of American policymakers also think the instability induced in the markets might also bring a recession. The policies are stagflationary for sure. Here, the president of the Federal Bank of Chicago, Austin Goolsbee, who said at this New York event that tariffs are a stagflationary shock from which it would be hard to recover.
A tariff is like a negative supply shock. That's a stagflationary shock, which is to say it makes both sides of the Fed's dual mandate worse at the same time. Prices are going up while jobs are being lost and growth is coming down.
Musk followed his diatribe against Navarro with a call for zero tariffs between USA and Europe.
I'm hopeful, for example, with the tariffs that at the end of the day, I hope it is agreed that both Europe and the United States should move, ideally, in my view, to a zero tariff situation, effectively creating a free trade zone between Europe and North America.
He was addressing via a video link the Italian League Party, an ally of Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, whom Musk calls a friend. There's a reason why Musk is mad at the way things have panned out. His Tesla cars are selling less. sales plunging as much as 49%, or literally by half in Europe alone in the first quarter of this year. Tesla's stock is trading at half its value from its 52-week high. Musk represents that segment of mega which is libertarian, which believes in free trade because they have benefited from it and can see the deleterious consequences of the tariff walls on the free world economy which powers their ambitions. Navarro, with his jibe, was trying to emphasize that Musk bats for free trade essentially because he depends on other nations for the components supply chain that feeds into his cars. He was also rubbing it in. By Navarro's definition, looking for cheap parts might be good economics but bad nationalism. Both have arguments in their favor. Musk's Teslas are more America-made than other cars. So the tech bro is right when he says he is making in America more than others. Navarro just picked the wrong example. For the likes of Ford and General Motors are not making in America that much. Look at this ranking of made in America cars. Tesla is up there on top. So Musk's scope was right. In the top 10 America-made car models in the United States, 3 are of Tesla, 3 of Honda, 1 each of Volkswagen, Toyota, Lexus, and Jeep. Guess what? 5 of the top 10 America-made cars are by non-American corporations based out of Japan and Germany. That's how complex the world trade is. But then this is not about Musk versus Navarro. It's a large battle for America's relationship with the rest of the world. It is as much personal as about American nationalism. Should mega extend to economics is the question that comes out of Musk versus Navarro debate. It's a fight between free trade and protectionism. It is a fight between received wisdom and new realities. It's a fight between geoeconomics and geopolitics. It is a fight in which America is recalibrating its place on the global stage, with wider consequences for the rest of the world, not just Tesla or America. Within the White House, there's a rethink, there's a U-turn, there's a pause, because finally some realization is dawning perhaps that the tariff path is not the best way to attain the intended objectives. We have been underscoring at this platform that Trump's America is an America in withdrawal. It's an inward-looking America that focuses on itself, that refuses to be the global cop, that refuses to foot the bill just so that it can rule the catwalk. America that is leaving the world order it created post-World War II. A reordering is happening in which platforms like the WTO, the UN, NATO, among others, have to adjust with the new reality of America withdrawing. The reordering is destabilizing and not necessarily to America's advantage, but it is happening. Call it the madman theory of Nixon or the brinkmanship of John Foster Dulles. For now, America seems to be harming its stature. Classic example of this was Rubio mentioning how China and India were rich enough to assist Myanmar in its hour of crisis, and that America need not do much in the aftermath of the massive earthquake that rocked the Southeast Asian nation this week. This, for sure, is going to create a vacuum. And friends, power abhors vacuum. Someone else, equal or more powerful, would soon occupy this space. That should worry us, for it could be China. Thanks for watching.
Russian Embassy in India, in association with Confederation of Indian Cyclists, organized a cycle rally dedicating the 80th anniversary of the Victory Day in the Great Patriotic War, along with the 78th anniversary of Russia-India diplomatic ties.
We have always promoted cycling, and we also run a campaign which is Pedal for Planet. Cycle Chalao, Paryavaran Bachao. Because you see, in the times to come, we have to leave with the next generation fresh air, oxygen, and that's why today is the day. Today is the time when we have to encourage more and more cyclists, and as such, Delhi is facing an acute problem of pollution.
Meanwhile, security has been heightened in the state of Madhya Pradesh, where in Guna, a stone pelting incident during a Hanuman Jayanti procession was reported. People blocked the road in protest against the incident, and heavy police deployment has been in the area ever since.
मामला ऐसा है कि वो एक जुलूस वहाँ से गुजर रहा था कन्वेरगंज मस्जिद के पास से, और कुछ चूँकि नारेबाजी हुई दोनों समुदाय के बीच में, और जो पता चला है कि पथराव भी हुआ है, इस पथराव में जिसमें 2 लोगों को चोटें आई हैं। चूँकि मैं उस समय CCTV कंट्रोल रूम में ही बैठा था, अचानक तो फुटेज मेरे को मिला तो तत्काल यहाँ से कंट्रोल रूम के द्वारा जो भी हमारे पास फोर्स।
Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar, along with Delhi's Chief Minister Rekha Gupta and Madhya Pradesh's Chief Minister Mohan Yadav, attended the Mahanatya Samrat Vikramaditya program. VP Dhankar called India emerging superpower and a progressive country.
रिवर फ्रंट पर वो कार्यक्रम होगा जो बात यहाँ दिख रही है फेडरल स्ट्रक्चर की। जब भारत विकास में इतना आगे बढ़ रहा है, महाशक्ति बनकर उभर रहा है, 10 साल के अंदर जो प्रगति हुई है उसकी वजह से जो भारी बदलाव आया है, एक सुखद संकेत है।
Moving on, anti-terror operations in Kishtwar entered its 5th day of encounter. Security forces have neutralized 3 Jaish terrorists, including top Jaish commander. Such operations continue in Chatru area of Kishtwar district. Union Minister Sukanta Majumdar has slammed the Mamata Banerjee government over the law and order situation in West Bengal. He accuses Mamata government of Hindu displacement in Murshidabad and warns of a partition-like crisis in the state.
सिचुएशन ममता बनर्जी के नालायकता के कारण, उनके इनएबिलिटी के कारण सिचुएशन इस तरीके की हो गया है। हाई कोर्ट का जो वर्डिक्ट आया, ये ममता बनर्जी की गाल पे एक बहुत बड़ा थप्पड़ है कि यू आर नॉट रेडी टू रूल द स्टेट, यू आर नॉट एलिजिबल टू रूल द स्टेट।
At the end of the Chaitra month, every year the ghost procession is taken place in the Tarna town of Ranchi district in Jharkhand, where hundreds of devotees of Lord Shiva participate in this procession.
ये वर्षों से चला आ रहा है हम लोग का परंपरा से कि पूरा परिवार खुशहाल रहे। शिव बाबा का जो बाराती हैं वही वेशभूषा बन के हम लोग शिव मंदिर जाते हैं। यहाँ से क्या बोलते हैं हम लोग? कोंका बोलते हैं हम लोग का भाषा में। बहुत प्रेत बाराती हुआ कोंका, जो शिव बाबा का बाराती हो गया।
AAP accuses BJP of rise in communal and religious tensions in the national capital. AAP has also slammed Rekha Gupta, the Delhi Chief Minister, and her government over increasing riots and crimes in Delhi.
भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार केंद्र में बनी है। देश में धर्म के नाम पे तनाव बढ़ा है, धर्म को लेके हत्याएं बढ़ी हैं, दंगे की घटनाएं बढ़ी हैं, दिन रात नफरत का एजेंडा जो है देश के अंदर चलाया जा रहा है। यही भारतीय जनता पार्टी चाहती थी, वही हो रहा है।
MDH की देगी मिर्च का तड़का, अंग अंग फड़का। MDH की देगी मिर्च।
I'd like to start by showing you some pictures of what we have received from Murshidabad. The pictures are are of great concern, and we're compelled to show you the footage here because you can't hide the truth. And those are pictures of a temple in Jangipur, ladies and gentlemen, where a temple has been vandalized and a Durga idol has been broken. It's been confirmed by locals to our reporter, and we have a full pictures of that. And the vandalization of the temple has happened at a time when in Murshidabad we've had 2 people who have been killed. Entire streets in Murshidabad have been burnt down, have been vandalized. We have terrible scenes out there where we were told that there were people who were masked, and all of this was happening apparently in the name of the Waqf protest, but the people were masked. They came there like gundas and they vandalized the shops.
From Asia's largest news headquarters, setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
Hello and a very warm welcome. You're watching Republic TV. I'm Gesu Bharadwaj, and the situation in West Bengal's Murshidabad continues to remain extremely grim. In fact, central forces have been deployed. Additional 5 units of the BSF have been deployed in West Bengal to get the violence under control. We're tracking that very closely for you. But first, like usual, a quick check on the headlines.
सिचुएशन ममता बनर्जी के नालायकता के कारण, उनके इनएबिलिटी के कारण हाईकोर्ट का जो वर्डिक्ट आया है, ये ममता बनर्जी की गाल पे एक बहुत बड़ा थप्पड़ है.
BJP slams Mamta government over the violence in Murshidabad and Nadia, claims Hindus are being tortured in the state. Calcutta High Court steps in, central forces deployed in Murshidabad after at least 3 people have been killed in the violence in West Bengal. The National Herald probe widens. ED begins possession of assets linked to Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi. Stone pelting during Hanuman Jayanti procession in Madhya Pradesh's Guna. Crackdown on terror intensifies in Jammu and Kashmir. Security forces gunned down 3 terrorists in the Kishtwar district. The Karnataka Caste Census Commission has recommended raising the OBC reservation quota from 32% to 51%, which would push total reservation in the state to 85%. Viewers, starting first with the fresh breaking development that we're getting in the case of the violence that's broken out in Murshidabad. In the latest visuals that are coming in from West Bengal's Murshidabad, after Calcutta High Court ordered the deployment of central forces in the area, there is more presence of cops and security personnel that is being seen and observed since this morning. Now, in the visuals, you can also see angry locals confronting the security personnel who've been deployed. Now, this comes after violence-marred Murshidabad was ordered to be brought under control by the Calcutta High Court, which ordered for the pressing of the central forces in Murshidabad. In fact, CAPF and BSF have been deployed in West Bengal's Murshidabad. These are the visuals that we're getting, the latest development. The DIG also came to Murshidabad along with a police team of senior officials to look at what is unfolding at the violence-struck place in Murshidabad. Now, security forces are being caught up in a standoff with locals who seem to be angry and are confronting the central agencies and forces in West Bengal. Also being joined by my colleague Retard, who gets us all the details. Retard, speak to us about the latest developments that are coming in. First, the deployment of the central agencies for sure, and after that, this visual that shows an altercation between the security forces and the angry locals.
Indeed, Gesu, and these are some very strong visuals coming in from Murshidabad, where locals were seen on visual, on camera, confronting the police. The West Bengal police was largely missing in action when riots hit parts of Murshidabad yesterday in the violent eruption of protests that spiraled out of control following some anti-Waqf Act protests that were being staged across the Murshidabad district. There have been serious concerns about the absence of police at very critical places where situation went out of control. All-out vandalism, vehicles were set on fire. There was also reports of certain temples being attacked and coming under acts of vandalism, beg your pardon. So those were some very serious concerns, and now the West Bengal police, after the deployment of CAPF, that is the Central Armed Police Forces, that is the paramilitary force, upon the insistence and intervention of the Honorable Calcutta High Court, has now finally reached to the location to uphold the law and order situation after the complete failure of the West Bengal government to maintain law and order. Now the police seen in action, the DIG has finally woken up and he has gone to Murshidabad today after a very serious rebuke by the Calcutta High Court yesterday over the deteriorating law and order situation. Some scathing observations came in from the Calcutta High Court yesterday, in which the High Court said that we cannot turn a blind eye to the reports of vandalism in West Bengal, following which the court also said that it is the duty of constitutional courts to not be mute spectators and ordered the deployment of central armed forces which earlier could have de-escalated situations. So even the Calcutta High Court came down very heavily on the Bengal police on their mismanagement of the entire law and order situation. Murshidabad was a very critical district. Remember, in the aftermath of the Waqf Act, it was very predictable that something like this could happen there. We also saw last Friday after prayers, there were tensions in Murshidabad. There was earlier also an attempt made to block National Highway 12 in Murshidabad on Wednesday, and following which on Friday after prayers again this week and on Saturday, the situation turned extremely violent. Just last week and earlier this week, 2 police vehicles were already torched. So the police knew that the situation in Murshidabad was extremely critical. Despite of that, in the last 48 hours, we have seen complete abdication of responsibility by the West Bengal police. We have seen Republic Bangla's crew, which was the only national media crew reporting live from Murshidabad about the riot situation there, come under attack by the mobs who were ruling on the streets yesterday, unattended and with no police in sight. So clearly the DIG now going to Bengal to somehow boost the morale of the West Bengal police, which was largely missing in action, which did not even take a lot of action in certain parts as per reports until the BSF came in. Now the CAPF and the BSF both are in focus, and now West Bengal police suddenly showing up, but the locals are not happy. They are unhappy with the police response, and now they're seen confronting the police, asking them perhaps questions on where they were yesterday.
Right, Retard, perhaps a little too late for the DIG of the area and also senior police officials to be pressing in after the mandate of the Calcutta High Court. Thanks for bringing in those details and for getting the case to round for us, Retard. We'll keep circling back when there are more updates. For now, viewers, we're also getting in another breaking development in the same case. Following the violence in Murshidabad, TMC is now completely shifting the blame, saying that people are trying to create unrest in the state of Bengal, typical of the Trinamool Congress, to be blaming external powers to be trying to create unrest in the state of West Bengal. Union Minister Sukanta Majumdar has in turn slammed the TMC, saying that the leaders of the party are jumping and saying big things when they have no knowledge about West Bengal. Listen in to what Sukanta Majumdar has to say.
देखिए, ये डायलॉग हम ना 60-75 साल से सुनते आ रहे हैं. हिंदू ये सारे 75 साल से आफ्टर द इंडिपेंडेंस यही सुनते आ रहा है. और अभिषेक बनर्जी जी उस समय बोले थे कि गोली चलाने की बात, आज क्यों गोली चलाने की बात नहीं बोलते? ये सेकुलरिज्म का टैबलेट खिला खिला के पूरे हिंदू समाज को एकदम हाशिए पे डाल दिया आपने. हर बार कुछ होता है तो शुरू हो जाता है हिंदू के ऊपर लूट, हिंदुओं के महिलाओं के साथ बदसलूकी, दुकान तोड़े गए, 2 व्यक्ति को काट कर मार दिया गया, हरगोविंदो दास और उनके बेटे चंदन दास, पिता और पुत्र दोनों की मौत हो गई. क्या हो रहा है? इस सरकार है कि नहीं? ये सरकार पूरी तरीके से जिहादू के हाथ में बिक गई है. वोट बैंक की पॉलिटिक्स के लिए इनके सामने और वोट बैंक की पॉलिटिक्स के अलावा कुछ नहीं है. और अभिषेक बनर्जी, जिनको ना पश्चिम बंगाल के बारे में पता है ना मुर्शिदाबाद के बारे में पता है, वो कूद के बड़े बात कर रहे हैं. जाइए वहां पे, जाइए, जाके बोलिए लोगों को शांति बनाए रखने के लिए हिम्मत है तो. कैसे एक मंत्री सिद्दीकुल्ला चौधरी बोल सकते कि आधा घंटा छोड़ दो हमें, हम दिखा देंगे? अरे आधा घंटा पुलिस हटा दो, 15 मिनट में हम साइज कर देंगे. सिद्दीकुल्ला जैसे मद्रासा छाप जो लोग है ना, इन मद्रासा छाप को आधा 15 मिनट लगेगा, आधा घंटा भी नहीं लगेगा. अरेस्ट करना चाहिए था इसको. जिस तरीके का प्रोवोकेशन आया है, एक मिनिस्टर रहते हुए आपने जिस तरीके का प्रोवोकिंग वर्ड्स यूज किए हैं हिंदुओं के खिलाफ, आपको जेल के अंदर होना चाहिए. ये उलेमाए हिंद या उलूलू हिंद क्या बना के रखा है, अंदर जो खेला हो रहा है ममता बनर्जी के मादारी के कारण हो रहा है. ममता बनर्जी अगर नहीं रहेगा ऐसे मादारी तो कुछ खेल नहीं होगा.
Meanwhile, viewers, the BJP has also slammed Trinamool Congress's MP Yusuf Pathan after he was found sharing a picture of himself sipping tea, while the BJP stated that the TMC MP has not spoken a single word about the violence that killed at least 3 people and the unrest that has gripped the state of West Bengal, but is busy sharing pictures on social media.
बंगाल जल रहा है, बंगाल इज बर्निंग, और उसके पीछे ममता बनर्जी की टीएमसी की सरकार पूर्ण तरीके से शामिल है. ये स्टेट प्रोटेक्टेड, स्टेट एनकरेज्ड वायलेंस है. टारगेटेड वायलेंस हो रही है हिंदुओं के खिलाफ. गाड़ी जलाए जा रहे हैं, लोगों को मारा जा रहा है. 3 हत्याएं हो चुकी है, परंतु पुलिस मूक दर्शक बनी बैठी। और अब यूसुफ पठान सांसद है टीएमसी के, चाय की चुस्की ले रहे हैं। बंगाल जल रहा है, ये चाय पी रहे हैं। बंगाल जल रहा है, हिंदू मारे जा रहे हैं, काटे जा रहे हैं, और यूसुफ पठान चाय में आनंद ढूंढ रहे हैं। ये है टीएमसी। एक तरफ बंगाल में हिंदुओं के साथ प्रताड़ना हो रही है, दूसरी तरफ मिस्टर यूसुफ पठान चाय की चुस्कियां ले रहे हैं। हाई कोर्ट को भी कहना पड़ा कि हम आंख मूंद कर बैठ नहीं सकते। सेंट्रल फोर्सेस डिप्लॉयड है मुर्शिदाबाद में। यूसुफ पठान चाय की चुस्कियां ले रहे हैं। ममता बनर्जी अभी भी तुष्टीकरण कर रही है।
Viewers, getting in some more massive developments in the case following the Murshidabad violence. Now, BJP MP has written to Home Minister Amit Shah urging to impose AFSPA in the state of West Bengal. The Armed Forces Special Powers Act clarion calls for the declaration of AFSPA in West Bengal are growing after the Murshidabad violence follows closely Calcutta High Court's order of pressing in the central agencies and security forces to take control of the violence in the situation after the state police authorities were completely absent from the scene, where at least 3 people were killed in violence that erupted after anti-Waqf protests in Murshidabad and Nadia in West Bengal. And now a BJP MP has written to Home Minister Amit Shah urging for the imposition of AFSPA. Joining me again is my colleague Retard, who will break this down for us. Retard, a clarion call for AFSPA to be imposed, and we completely understand how serious AFSPA can be for a state like West Bengal. What does this mean? What does this say about the situation that is going on in West Bengal right now?
Indeed, the Armed Forces Special Powers Act is an act that is only invoked by the Ministry of Home Affairs in disturbed areas where the law and order situation has deteriorated to such an extent that it cannot be controlled by local law enforcement. We already have Central Armed Paramilitary Forces, or the Central Armed Reserve Police Forces, already deployed in the state of West Bengal after the intervention of the Calcutta High Court. And now Jyotirmay Singh Mahato, who's the MP of BJP from Purulia seat of West Bengal, has written to Home Minister Amit Shah requesting an immediate imposition of AFSPA in the Murshidabad and the neighboring districts. Let me read out the excerpts from the letter for our viewers. Jyotirmay Mahato, the MP from Purulia of the BJP, has said that the fear and isolation and targeted violence in Bengal, and specifically in Hindus in these districts, are facing echoes what Kashmiri Pandits faced in the exodus of 1990s. Remember, Kashmir was one of the states in which AFSPA was put in place for quite a long time. So he's invoking and drawing a Kashmiri Pandit analogy. He further goes on to say that considering declaring AFSPA in the bordering district of West Bengal, namely Murshidabad, Malda, Nadia and South 24 Parganas under Section 3 of the AFSPA Act of 1958 to restore the law and order situation. So clearly now echoing voices of distress coming in from the BJP in the state, which has been continuously on the case of West Bengal Chief Minister Mamta Banerjee over the deteriorating law and order situation. Remember, it was the intervention of the BJP's leader of opposition in West Bengal, Suvendu Adhikari, who went to the Calcutta High Court yesterday to bring in the Central Armed Forces because the police had lost control over the law and order situation in the Murshidabad district, which saw some of the worst riots and almost 3 people who lost their lives in these riots. So now the BJP upping the ante with MP from Purulia writing to Home Minister Amit Shah and the Ministry of Home Affairs to consider imposing AFSPA, which is a very serious law, in order to maintain the law and order situation, likening to the situation of Hindus in West Bengal to the exodus of Kashmiri Pandits in 1990.
Right, Retard.
That is what the Purulia MP wrote in his letter to the Home Minister.
Right, Retard, requesting you to just hold your thought and continue being with us on the broadcast. We're getting in some more breaking development. Over 150 people have now been arrested in the case of violence that unfolded in Murshidabad. This is big, viewers. 150 people have now been arrested. This comes just moments after central agencies like the CAPF and the BSF have been pressed in at Murshidabad in West Bengal as per the orders of the Calcutta High Court to control the violence that gripped West Bengal over anti-Waqf protests and demonstrations, which completely turned violent. Cases of stone pelting, cases of shops being looted, Hindus being under attack in West Bengal, and now at least 150 people have been arrested. In fact, the TMC continues to delve into just shifting the blame of the entire incident onto some unknown players, and that the TMC is not willing to name. And in fact, in the latest development, 150 people have been arrested in Murshidabad following the violence. This also follows closely clarion calls from the side of the BJP, where an MP has also written to Home Minister Amit Shah calling for AFSPA to be regulated in the state of West Bengal. Now, the Armed Forces Special Powers Act is only used for disturbed areas where the military is allowed special powers like arrest without warrant and search premises and use of force also after the implementation of AFSPA in any given state. The violence has taken such a turn. Mobs attacked and looted Hindu houses and shops across areas in Nadia and Murshidabad. The West Bengal police on your screens completely walking besides the mayhem that was being caused without being able to do anything or being able to intervene to stop the crowds and the violent mobs. In fact, CAPF and BSF have now been pressed into action by the Calcutta High Court's orders on the request of BJP MPs in the state. In fact, in the latest that's coming in, at least 150 people have been arrested in the case of Bengal violence, which unfolded in Murshidabad and also Nadia district in West Bengal over anti-Waqf demonstrations that were ongoing. These demonstrations quickly turned violent. There were incidents of stone pelting, incidents of Hindus and their houses being completely under the scrutiny of this violent mob. And this mob also attacked the houses of Hindus. In fact, many shops of Hindus were also looted in the area. First reports also tell us that temples were also subjected to vandalism during the anti-Waqf protests in West Bengal's Murshidabad and Nadia. In the latest that's coming in a big win for the Central Forces, 150 people have been arrested in relation to the violence in Murshidabad. Those are the visuals on your screens. Viewers, moving on, a total of 9 accused, indulging the main accused, have been arrested in the Guna stone pelting case as well during Hanuman Jayanti celebrations. Now, Republic brings you a report from the ground. Take a look.
गुना के कर्नलगंज इलाके में कल हनुमान जयंती पर जो जुलूस था उस पर पथराव होता है। ये कर्नलगंज का वही इलाका है जहां पर कि पथराव होता है। देखिए, ये जो मस्जिद है इसके सामने से जुलूस जब गुजर रहा था, इस दौरान डीजे के साउंड को लेकर विवाद शुरू होता है और इसके बाद जो फुटेज हमारे पास आए हैं, जो एक्सक्लूसिव तस्वीरें हमारे पास आई हैं, उसके मुताबिक मस्जिद में जो मौजूद लोग थे वो लाठी डंडे लेकर बाहर निकलते हैं और हमला कर देते हैं। इसके बाद पथराव शुरू हो जाता है। ये जो सघन इलाका दिख रहा है, कई घरों की छत से भी पथराव किया जाता है। हालांकि मुस्लिम पक्ष का ये कहना है कि पथराव की शुरुआत हिंदू पक्ष ने की। वहीं शिकायतकर्ता जो है, जो कि बीजेपी पार्षद है, वो ये कह रहा है कि एक साजिश थी, षड्यंत्र के तहत प्लानिंग के साथ जुलूस पर हमला किया गया। हालांकि अब इस इलाके में फिलहाल स्थिति अंडर कंट्रोल है। पुलिस ने हालात सामान्य कर दिए हैं। लोगों का आना